2 weeks from today, California voters will decide on a ballot measure aimed at transforming the state's mental health system and addressing the homeless crisis, and that's going to be happening on March 5th.
Yes, and some Californians say they support the initiative, but others believe it may do more harm than good. And joining us now with why he believes San Diegans should vote yes on Prop 1 is San Diego City Council member Raul Campillo. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening.
Well, for our viewers, catch them up if they haven't really looked through their voter guide just yet. Exactly what is Prop 1 and why do you think that it's a measure that would work?
Absolutely. So Proposition 1 is on every single voter in California's ballot. Essentially what it's going to do is reallocate where counties need to spend their money to really address the core issues of the lack of mental health beds, hospital beds, detox beds for the people that are most vulnerable. And a lot of that is homelessness. It also has a bond component that is going to help put together the 11,000 or so necessary beds and locations, the infrastructure that's necessary to help people who are having psychiatric issues, drug abuse issues, substance disorder issues, and it has a set aside for helping veterans as well. What it's designed to do is really tackle those really the deep issues where we're seeing the most suffering, especially the psychiatric issues with homeless individuals. A lot of counties like San Diego are doing a lot of good work. There's a lot of counties throughout California that are not pulling their weight to make sure we're taking care of those populations. So it is a statewide thing. But what is really, really important to note is that the public is calling in and saying we're seeing so much psychiatric issues in the tents, on the streets, on the sidewalks around downtown. And so this is a statewide approach that is going to shift the way we spend that mental health money that has already been coming in since 2004.
Now, on its face, obviously, this is a major problem that affects San Diego, California, and beyond. The idea is great. Now, Susan Shelley came in last hour on the other side, and she said, okay, well, we say $6 billion. It's really more like $12 billion when it comes to the interest and so forth that you pay over a number of years. And she also says it's not a great allocation of money as far as where the money's going to go. How do you respond to that?
My response to that is, as all bonds are, they're taking out a loan right now and you're paying it off over time. But that's because we need to build that infrastructure and spend that money on services right now. Right now we need to help, because if we don't invest that money now, it just gets more and more costly. Here's a way it'll actually impact everyday San Diegans. They have to wait long lines at ERs when they need to get their family member, their son or daughter, their husband or wife, or their parent into a psychiatric bed. They might have to wait for weeks or months before that bed's available. If we invest that money now so people can get healthier now, I think it's going to actually decrease the entire total cost over the course of the entire program, over the course of 30 years, which is what most bonds are laid out upon. And so if we can say we can continue to do piecemeal here and there, but that doesn't get to the core issues. And of course, the most fundamental core issue is how counties are helping homeless individuals who have the most deep psychiatric needs. Those are the people who are going to be put into housing, into mental health beds, psychiatric beds, detox beds. Those are the key things that we're helping right now, and it'll help every other San Diegan who's waiting in long lines at the ER right now.
But one of the arguments that was just mounted against Prop 1 in our earlier hour was the fact that Prop 1, if it passes, could actually detract or disrupt some of the mental health services that are happening right now. How do you react to that?
The way I react to that,
the emphasis is more on housing too, correct?
Sure. Yes, it is about housing, because we are seeing a housing crisis. We're seeing homelessness on our streets, and it doesn't just it doesn't essentially ignore the fact that we need the treatment aspect of it too. When you have the housing and the treatment together, which Prop 1 has, essentially 35% of it has to go towards the housing component, and 30% of that money has to go towards the treatment component and the wraparound services. That's how you get true outcomes. That's how you get a person who right now is unsheltered and homeless back on their feet. That's really the case that we're trying to look at right now. You can't just have treatment to a person in a tent. You've got to put them in a bed, a psychiatric bed, or a home to get the treatment to really take effect.
And before we let you go, I know the City Council has unanimously voted to support this. Are there elements of it, though, that you would like to see changed or like could be done better? Or is just this is the best that you feel like we can do at this point?
Right now, I think it's really strong to note that this had massive bipartisan support by assembly members and state senators who put this on the ballot. It is a big chunk of change, but it is meeting the challenge we have today. If there's one thing that I, as a council member, and every other council member gets a call about. It's about homelessness, and it's particularly about the homeless individuals who are suffering from psychiatric or substance use disorders, and this is going to help those people most of all right now as quickly as we can.
Well, we know so much money has already been thrown at this very complex issue, and as we were just reporting days ago, that still in San Diego, the people falling into homelessness is outpacing the people who are getting out.
That's absolutely true. It has a bunch of wraparound components, but I just wanted to reiterate, where are you going to most materially see this as an everyday San Diegan? You're going to see more open psychiatric places for people who are housed or unhoused. We're going to see people going from hospitals to the right setting for them based on their mental health or physical needs, and it's going to, in my view, really reduce those wait times to get people into the treatment they need right away. Because this isn't just about homeless individuals; it's also about housed individuals. It's helping all the vulnerable people that we need to help.
All right. Election day is 2 weeks from today. Councilman Raul Campillo, we appreciate you coming in and talking to us.
My pleasure.
In favor of Prop 1.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. And